Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 8 of the spring training series for school leaders. I'm so happy to be here with you today. This is our final session for the spring training series here in 2023. It has been so successful. I hope to offer it again next year. I think I'm going to do it a little bit sooner. I think I'm going to do it in March and April so that you guys get this content in advance enough to apply it and implement it through the rest of the school year. So welcome. Session 8 is on making your vision doable. This is all about the 3-month plan. This is the 90-day plan that I've created for my school principals that I work with, my clients, and I'm going to share the contents with you today. Okay, so everybody settle in, get welcomed. If you were on the registration list, you received a copy of the worksheet that is that correlates to today's training. If you're watching this as a replay and you'd like a copy of this, all you have to do is email me and I'll get you a copy. Not a problem. Okay, so how this came to be. Last year, I was working with a lot of brand new school leaders, and they were feeling overwhelmed by learning so many new things at once. And it felt too much to plan out the full school year. They just didn't have the capacity. Either they were brand new and they didn't know what they didn't know, how to expect it, or it just felt like it was too far out or too many details to consider for that length of time. Because when you're looking at a full school year, everything feels like the priority. And when everything's the priority, nothing is a priority. So what ends up happening is you can't decide where to focus and you're playing whack-a-mole, right? You're putting out this fire, then you're running over here, then you're coming over here and you're trying to deal with this grade level and that grade level and special ed and gen ed and instructional leadership, instructional coaching. And what are you doing about safety plans and parents and PTA meetings and events? All of that can just overwhelm you. It feels like you're drowning, right? And it creates a lockdown in our brains. Our brains just get stuck in action, okay? And what we try to do is we try to overwork to compensate, but we still feel behind. And what's happening is you're in the overwhelm cycle. And I'm like, okay, need to do a training on this. So if you're new to the position, if you're an aspiring leader who got hired and you're going in brand new, this is the perfect time to come in. If you don't know what you don't know and the overwhelm is real and you don't have a lot of guidance, you're in the right place, right? If you want to establish some true priorities and get a primary focus so that you know how to make decisions and you have a lens through which you're making decisions, we're going to talk about that. If you want to be in control how you spend your time and your energy, if you feel like the day is happening to you and you're getting interrupted or you're getting off track and you're chronically overworking and overexerting yourself, we're going to get you back on track. And if you want to stop feeling like you're always behind, because the goal, we want to feel like we're on top of things. We want to have a plan and we want to be able to troubleshoot in advance so we don't have to deal with bigger problems when we could have solved them in advance as when they were smaller problems, right? So you're in the right place, I assure you. I've been in your shoes. I've personally been a school principal, a district administrator. I was a teacher, instructional coach. So I know what it feels like to be overwhelmed, to be scattered, to feel unorganized, to feel like I'm spinning in my wheels and I'm not really getting anywhere. What I want to offer is to help you stay focused and stay clear so that you can calm yourself and you can trust the process. And ultimately, you're going to feel prepared. Right? I've worked with hundreds of principals, and I assure you this process works. Okay. Here's what you're going to walk away with. You're going to learn why taking the time to plan ahead is the best use of your time. I'll tell you this. It sounds like a good idea. We all know we should plan, but what happens is we don't think we can afford the time. We can't take the time to plan because we're so busy doing. I'm going to teach you and sell you on why creating a space for yourself on the calendar is the best use of your time, right? I'm going to show you how it's going to help you feel so much better, whether you're a first year or a 10-year veteran. I'm going to show you how this process makes you feel better about who you are as a school leader and the direction you're taking yourself, your career, and your school, okay? What I really love about this program is that it's going to show you how it makes you more valuable as a leader and what being valuable means for you and your school. Of course, I'm going to teach you the clear process for creating your 3-month plan. I'm also going to highlight some things to consider and some pitfalls I want you to avoid so that you don't slide into some common mistakes, okay? Here is why this is a different approach than other approaches that you might have been trying to implement or that you've been taught. We're not going to attempt to do it all. We're not going to solve all of the world's problems in one school year. Okay? We're not going to take that approach where everything's a priority. We're going to let me try that again. We're going to reject overwhelm as an option. So overwhelm is not allowed up in here. When our brains want to offer us overwhelm, we're going to acknowledge it, and then we're going to pause. We're going to say time out. Overwhelm's not an option. We're going to reject that, and we're going to look at what is true. What else is true? We're going to talk about the issues and the challenges that come up that we think are problems, but they're not necessarily problems. Our brain wants to make them mean they're a problem. They're actually not problems unless we make them into a problem in our mind. I want to teach you how to make decisions swiftly and clearly and make a commitment to prioritizing. If there's one thing that I could ask you to walk away with today, it's commitment to constraint, commitment to prioritizing. And so you have an easier time making decisions. When you constrain and when you prioritize, your decision-making process becomes so much easier, okay? Also, we're going to measure our success a little bit differently than we typically do. The meter of success is how you feel, how prepared you feel, and how planned you feel, not how often you're working. We're not counting hours. It's not the most people with the most hours put in wins the game. That's actually the people who lose. We're going to talk about how you feel. Do you feel rested? Do you feel clear in your mind? Do you feel good in your heart? Do you feel aligned to your values? Do you feel on track? Do you feel like you're ahead of the game, or are you feeling overwhelmed, confused, behind, doubt, spinning in indecision, spinning in procrastination, right? We're not focusing on how productive you are. This isn't about checking boxes. This is about how much you feel good about the work you're doing. It's a very different measurement, okay? So for those of you who are brand new to me, and this is your first time ever meeting me, welcome. My name is Angela Kelly Robeck. I'm a former kindergarten, first grade, second grade teacher. I was an instructional coach. I was a reading specialist. I was a school principal for 6 years before moving up to the district level. And I was the RTI coordinator for my entire district, which is where I worked with principals on developing and implementing their RTI programs, okay? So what I currently do now, I've turned into a certified life and leadership coach for school leaders. I desperately wanted support when I was in school leadership, and I just decided I'm going to create it. I'm going to be that person for people because I didn't have someone like me to help me. So I now help site and district leaders navigate the mental and emotional demands of this job. And I help you with very tangible, practical tools to create the career that you want, the experience you want to have in school leadership. And I help you do that very simply. So we just stop creating overwhelm in our lives. Okay. All right. Little housekeeping info. This training is going to last about 45 minutes. So take all the notes you want, jot everything down. You're welcome to take screenshots. I'm just going to be up here talking with you. You've got your notes. You can take note of on your worksheet. If you didn't get that, grab a piece of paper or a notebook, write them down, and I can send this to you at a later time. Just jot your questions down. But for those of you who are on the call because you're interested in learning more about the coaching programs that I offer, or you have questions about coaching, not to worry. I will be here. I will stay on to answer any of those questions. So set an intention first and foremost to make a decision that by the end of this training, there is one action that you're going to walk away with and implement as a result of what you've learned today. Feel free to share that in the Q&A if you want, and you can jump on and ask questions at any time. I will try to do my best to check the Q&A. Sometimes I get going, so remind me if you need, just raise your hand if you need me to slow down, okay? All right, ready? Here we go. What you ultimately want as a school leader is to feel on top of your game. You want to feel prepared, whether you're a first-year leader, second-year leader, 20-year leader. Everyone wants to feel prepared. It feels great. It feels amazing to think I'm organized, I'm prepared, I'm ahead of the game. You want to know what's coming up. You want your actions to mirror your values as a leader. You want to be in alignment. Here's what I believe in, and I act on those values. Here is my goal, and the actions I'm taking are aligned to the goals. Here is my plan, and I'm doing the things on my plan. That alignment piece is what we're looking for. When we're feeling discombobulated and overwhelmed, it's coming from some kind of misalignment. That's all that's happened, right? So it's not a problem. We just got to get back into alignment. You also want to have very clear priorities and constrain, as I was just saying. We got to be able to learn to say no to more on the plate. And the things we say no to are simply the things that aren't currently in alignment with your 3-month plan. So in order to make your vision doable, so last week we talked about creating that vision and selling it. Now we're going to talk about how we make this doable. You're not going to take a vision and know how to implement it until we break it down into simple, easy steps so that your mind doesn't get overwhelmed. We're going to take all of this and create a plan that's focused and efficient, and a plan that also takes into account the realities of this job, and we allow space and time for adjustment. One of the things I used to do as a school leader was I would schedule minute to minute, back to back, everything I wanted to do. I had my list. I literally slapped it onto my calendar, and then I honestly thought I was going to get it all done. But the reality of the job was I got interrupted. Kids needed support. Parents wanted meetings. Teachers asked me if I had a minute, right? Do you got a minute? That was like my favorite phrase. Not so much, but no, I don't have a minute because I've scheduled myself to death and I didn't create space for people to come in and talk to me. So I would be very frustrated when I got interrupted. I would get so mad. Don't interrupt me. Don't knock on my door. Oh, what do they want, right? So I was caught in my own overwhelm cycle. And this is what it looks like. There are multiple needs out there. Everything feels like a priority. So every time someone comes and asks of your time, your attention, your energy, your brain power, where they want you to solve a problem for them, they want to talk to you, they want to meet with you, they want to talk about your plan, they want to tell you something, they want to blame, complain, vent, all those things, right? And when you haven't prioritized your time or your plan, it all becomes important. And you feel like you've got to solve everything all at once, and you get very confused. And when you get very confused, you just start playing whack-a-mole, and then you get overwhelmed because guess what? When this fire gets out, there's another one and another one and another one. Now that's the reality of the job. But when we think we're supposed to be fixing it all, we get very behind and we feel underprepared. And then we don't take time to plan. We think we're too busy doing it to slow down and actually take a breath and plan. That's the getting behind cycle, right? That's the overwhelm cycle. And what typically happens is everything's coming at you at once, and then something big will come in. I call it a wipeout day. Boom, right? Where whatever you had on your calendar that day gets the complete wipeout because something emergency, last minute thing, unexpected pitfall comes into play, and it wipes out everything. So for me, it was like constant interruptions because I didn't have an idea of how to manage interruptions. The important but non-urgent tasks never seem to get done. You know what I'm talking about? That quadrant. So those things like creating my school vision, it just never really seemed to like evolve because I was taking care of all the urgency things that maybe they were important, but some of them maybe not. Okay. I tended to work late, way past, I would promise to be home by a certain time. And then I would inch in 30 minutes late, or maybe I'd miss dinner, or I like run into my son's concert, like right at the stroke of 7 p.m. So I was working late. I was breaking promises to my family. I was getting up early in the morning, 4 or 5 a.m. trying to work. I was taking that work home. I was toting it, carrying it back and forth, never opening it. All right. I have a client who was just saying like, I keep taking my bag on this, on this vacation every night, but I never opened the bag. Yeah. So we overschedule, we overplan, and we underschedule, we underplan, and we feel discouraged by that, okay? The result of that is we always feel behind. We intellectually know that this like kind of hamster wheel approach doesn't work, but we don't think we have the time to slow down. We don't think we can manage or reduce those interruptions. We just think they're happening to us. So we stay in reaction mode. And when we're in reaction mode, inevitably things get overlooked and we end up being reactional instead of being intentional. And that leads to last minute hustling, more stress, you're just caught in a cycle and you get stuck. And, you know, I've worked with dozens and dozens and dozens of school leaders, and what they feel like is they just feel they're not in control of their time or their energy. They feel chronically behind, which is so discouraging. Yeah, it makes me sad. And then they don't create the impact that they want. And now they're more than discouraged, right? They feel defeated. So they feel a little bit deflated, then they feel discouraged, and they feel defeated. That's not the path we want to be on, right? But here's why it's so hard to change, especially to try and change on your own. We're taught to be people pleasers. We're taught to serve and to honor the requests of other people. So we have lots and lots of demands coming in on our radar every single day. They all feel urgent. They all feel important. We love our people and we want to help them. Saying no is highly uncomfortable, especially if you're a female. I feel like we've been, socialized to be polite, to say yes, to people please, to put others before us. And we just haven't been conditioned as leaders to value planning time as an equally important task as we value helping others, as we value being in the action of our plan. Sitting down and doing the plan, we know it's important intellectually, but we don't want to take the time. Number one, it's hard. Number two, it's tedious. It's just, you have to grind a little bit. So our brain's like, let's just go back to doing because it feels more productive. And that's a challenge. It's a challenge to honor our calendar, to create that space and sit down and to plan for ourselves and give ourselves time to take a deep breath, to calm our bodies down, to think and to prepare. So here are some thoughts that make it feel really hard. I can't slow down to plan. Other things are more pressing or more important. I don't know what to expect 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. How can I plan? I don't know. Things are going to come up anyway. Why bother? I can't possibly plan that far ahead. And I can barely get today's work done, let alone think 3 months in advance. These are some of the things that my client said to me when I said, let's slow your brain down and come up with a 3-month plan, which is how we're going to make your vision doable. We break it down into bite-sized chunks, something that the brain can wrap around. And the objections or the obstacles that my clients perceived was that they didn't have time to slow down because other things were more important, or they just couldn't see 3 months ahead to even know what to plan, okay? But here's the truth. Are you ready? Take notes down. This is where I want you to take the notes. You actually do have an idea of what's coming. Even if you're a first-year leader, you've been a teacher. You know the ebb and the flow and the seasons of the school year. You do have an idea. If you had to guess, you could probably write out typically what happens in the fall, what happens in the winter, what happens in the spring, and what happens in the summer. You do have an idea. Okay, that's Mythbuster number 1. Mythbuster number 2, you do have the time. How do I know? You're in control of your time. You don't think so because you're in reaction mode. But the truth is that you're making a decision of how you're spending your time. You just have to tell yourself, I do have the time because I decide how to spend my time. Mythbuster number 3, this use of time is more valuable than some of the things you're spending your time on now. That one hurts a little, it stings a little because we're doing the best job we can. And it's not to call you out, it's just to say, we want to look at our schedule with math, not mind drama, not emotion, and say, what is working, what's being highly effective, and where am I spending my time that isn't being highly effective? And can I use that time to plan so that I can be more effective? Okay. Planning now will make life so much easier for you in your future. So I want you to have your futures back. Your future self is begging you to take time, and the summer is going to be a great time to do this, to create this luxurious amount of space where you're going to sit down and you're going to create a plan. Because when you plan out for the future, you get to experience that future with much more presence, with much more awareness, because you're not just so busy running around. You're actually present in that moment because you have prepared and planned for it ahead of time. Okay. So what is the value of this 3-month plan I'm talking about? Well, first thing, it keeps you 3 months ahead as a leader. You have to be thinking 3 months in advance of your teachers. Right now, this is the end of May, they're thinking about crossing that finish line and getting out of school. They just want summer break. They're done. They've tested. They've done their, finals or whatever grade level they're teaching, whether it's elementary, high school, middle school. They're just looking to cross the line, wrap up their classrooms, and get that break that they're so desperately needing. Okay. You are already thinking about fall. See, you have to be 3 months ahead. So right now it's the end of May going into June. You want to be planning for August, September, October. Okay. You want to be 3 months ahead. You want to know what to expect before it happens. So that this plan has that built into it. And then you'll love having created that plan ahead of time, because now you're always going to be 3 months ahead of everybody else. So it's about setting the intention. And look, this plan does not have to be executed perfectly. It's not about that at all. It's about the mindset, the energy behind in which you are presenting to yourself. Here's what I know. Here's what needs to get done. I'm going to map this out, prioritize it. I'm going to decide, am I doing this work? Am I delegating it? You got to make that distinction. Who's doing the job? Delegate as much as possible. We'll talk about that in a minute. You got to anticipate those obstacles, consider those, mapping out the details. That's where your brain's like, oh, that's so boring, it's tedious. But when you do that, when you map out the details and you pitfall plan ahead of time, you're going to have time to address the unanticipated obstacles that come up in real time. You'll have more time to deal with the emergencies. Okay. And the way I like to think about it as a school leader is that it costs less when I'm planned in advance. Material, it costs less in energy, focus, effort, attention, money, all your resources. When you plan in advance, you get to order things and you can order them in advance and don't have to have them rush, or you don't have to pay somebody to go out and pick it up last minute, right? With physical material items. It costs you less energy because you're not stressed out, spinning out in last minute troubleshooting, right? You can visualize things going smoothly. You can decide what you're going to delegate ahead of time, so you know exactly the right person to delegate to. You've got time to prepare them to be successful. And then the more often you can delegate, the less on your plate, right? You map out that schedule so you know exactly, here's how I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to include wipeout days. So if something does come up, it's not a problem. I don't have to worry about it. What you do end up feeling is planned, prepared, attuned into your values, and focused. Okay. So what are the results we're trying to achieve here? What's the goal? Work-life balance. This 3-month plan is not just about you being an extraordinary leader, which of course you're going to become one. It's about you having balance. And for everybody, balance looks a little different. So you have to decide, what is the metric that you measure? How do you know if you're being balanced? How do you know when you're not? How does your body tell you, I'm not feeling balanced, I need rest, or I need break, I need recovery time, I need just rejuvenation? What does that look like for you? You want to be able to know what your work-life balance looks like for you. You're going to be able to create clear and concise communication. When you have a plan and you're 3 months ahead of the teachers, you're going to be able to know what they need to know and articulate that clearly to them. And when you do this plan every 3 months, you're going to have more consistent action. You'll create processes. You're going to get into a rhythm. And your brain loves consistency. It loves rhythm. It loves to know. It loves routines. It loves when things are automated. So you're going to gain clarity in your approach and the processes that you want to use. And then that's all going to create space and time to make adjustments when things don't go as planned. Okay. And this makes you become more valuable as a leader. Your time is effectively managed. Priorities and deadlines are met. Problems are anticipated and solved ahead of time. Decisions are made in advance. So you're not wasting time spinning out in procrastination or indecision. Worst place to be, right? It feels terrible when you have a decision hanging over your head. Communication is sent out to your teachers and your staff and your parents and your school community in real time. You're going to get more done in less time. You avoid last minute problems and expenses. I really want to sell you hard on the value of doing this work. It's the most valuable use of your time. With no plan, you're going to spend your entire career in reaction, in stress, overwhelm, exhaustion, overworking, overexerting, overscheduling. You're going to feel like you're never getting anything done, that you're not ahead, and that you're not accomplished. I don't want you to live your career out like that. Okay. So, are you ready? Let's go. Let's get your attention. Everybody wake up. Here are the steps. Number 1, make a list. It's all on here, by the way, if you have this printed out. Make a list of everything that you need to complete in the next 3 months. Now, the first time you do the 3-month plan, you do have to do a little heavy lifting because you're going to create one. This is May, so June, July, August, but you're also going to create one for August, September, October. Okay. And it's perfect to do it now because your summer, your plan is going to be about having fun, rest, relaxation, setting an intention for your summer so that you can have a blast. And by the way, if you're watching this in real time, join our Facebook group because we're doing Summer Fun Challenge throughout June and July. Okay. But you're going to create your fun plan, your vacation plan, set your intentions for that. But you're also going to create your August, September, October plan now so that you can go on break knowing you're coming back to a plan. So the way you do that is you make a list. You just write down everything. You might not know everything. That's fine. Make a list of what you do know. Now, do it personally and professionally because you're one human and you got to do all the things. Make a list, step 1. Number 2, it's right here, all of this too. You're going to prioritize that list based on the values. Your brain will not want to prioritize because it thinks everything's important. You have to decide. That's the hard part. If I had to put this list in priority order, what's the most important thing? You just decide based on your values. What's the one thing your school needs to have done? What's going to be the biggest bang for the buck? Make that the priority and then prioritize based off of that. Okay. Once you have your priority list, you're going to map out all the details. This is the tedious part. Your brain doesn't want to do it, but let me sell you on why you should. The more detailed your plan is, the more problems you can solve for in advance, and the more certain you can be that things are going to run smoothly. So for example, if let's say, I'm thinking about people who are scheduling the end of the year stuff. If you had like field day on your list, if all you said was field day, it wouldn't, like, how do you know that's going to get done? You have to map out what's a successful field day, what has to happen in order for a successful field day. All of the things, there's a lot of things behind field day that have to happen in order for it to be a success. You have to map out those details. What tasks, who does the tasks, what are the deadlines, what resources are needed to ensure those tasks are done, what's the follow-up procedure, all of that, okay? It will be worth your time, I promise. Once you do that, step 4 is to decide who's doing the job and why, who can you delegate to. Now, this is my rule of thumb for my clients. If it can be delegated, it should be delegated. If you don't have to do it, you shouldn't be doing it. Delegate, delegate. It's an underutilized leverage that you have, underutilized tool. Delegation is key. Now, if you have trouble delegating, you're going to want to coach yourself on why. Why is it so hard for me to delegate? Am I willing to let somebody else do it at B- when I could do it at A plus? Think about that, right? So decide and delegate. And then step 5, you just got to calendar and honor. None of this is rocket science, but it's very hard to do, right? Now, calendaring it, I like to backwards calendar. I like to see, here's the deadline, and then here are the things that need to be done in backwards order. You can do it whichever way you want, okay? Now, some things to consider in your plan are all the deadlines, meetings and appointments, both professional and personal. You want to consider all the big events that have lots of mini tasks and subtasks underneath, and then what the goals that you want to accomplish. And I also want you to consider what fun is going to be in your week. I'm not just talking about summer, folks. I'm talking about every week during the school year. You need to have something personal that you look forward to, something fun, whether that's travel, a weekend getaway, a night out with your friends, maybe a weekly book club, dinner, glass of wine with your husband or your spouse, partner, friends, something you can look forward to, okay? Consider all of those things. Consider the little tiny things. I like to think, what from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, what are the actual things I'm doing? Like getting up, working out, taking a walk, showering, making my coffee. How long does it take me to commute? Back when I was going to school. And I was just watching like, oh, there's actually a lot of time that I don't account for. Like making my lunch or eating my lunch or getting to that lunch, right? Commute times between meetings. If I have to go from district office to my site and back, that there's 20 minutes there, or maybe longer for some of you. You want to consider that because it does take up time, okay? So let me cover some of the pitfalls that happen. Pitfall number 1 is not mapping out the details. It's just making a to-do list and stopping at that to-do list where you don't prioritize and you don't map out details. I'm going to say it. It's going to feel tedious. You have to be willing to feel that dread of the tediousness. And I hate it. This is why I know it so well. But once I get going, the minute I cross that threshold, it starts to feel better. So I highly encourage you, do not skip this step, even though you're not going to feel like doing it. No one wants to do work. The brain never wants to do the work. It loves to say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. It feels good to put it on the calendar for tomorrow. But the minute it's 9 o'clock on Wednesday and you got to sit down and do it, your brain's like, I don't want to. That's where we coach ourselves and mentor our brains. Like, I get it. You don't want to, but you know what? Here's why we're doing it. Because it's going to feel so good when we're done. Okay. So you got to map out those details, allow it to be tedious, allow your brain to throw that tantrum. Do not skip the step, even though you don't feel like it. Okay. Pitfall number 2, not delegating. I spend time teaching my clients the art of delegation. This will be the death of your plan. You will never be able to get everything done yourself. You have to coach yourself on how to trust other people and to allow them to do their version of the best job. It's not necessarily your best version. Can you allow B- work? But I also want you to consider that they might do it better than you. And just maybe you're holding on because it's a pet project that you love, or it's a pet task or skill that you enjoy, or just activity you enjoy doing. Somebody out there is probably able to do it better, faster, smarter than you. Now, that's not an ego blow. That's simply to say, what do you value more? Do you value that task getting done and maybe giving it to somebody who can do it better, faster than you? Or do you value holding on to it? Do you value your time, or do you value like you being in control of everything? And why? You just want to ask yourself, why? If I'm holding on, okay? Pitfall number 3, not being able to say not now, or more directly, no, not at this time. Now, there are true emergencies that come up in a school. Of course, you're in the business of working with people. You work with children and adults all day, every day. There are going to be human emergencies. But most of the interruptions at our school and in our lives as principals, they're not true emergencies. It might feel like an emergency to the person coming in, where they demand an answer now, or they demand a meeting with you now, or they need to talk something through because they're in an emotional crisis or they're in emotional intensity. We have to be willing to say, I hear you, I see you, I would like to help you, but I can't do it right now. Be willing to say not now, schedule that time in later, or redirect them to somebody else who can help them. Delegate the redirection out, okay? Pitfall number 4, scheduling yourself back to back. I talked about this earlier. I made this mistake. I thought it was being productive and managing my time well, but what it was I was getting so backed up. I was late to meetings or missing something altogether, or I just wasn't getting to anything and I was feeling completely discouraged because I thought I was going to get 10 things done and I got 3 things done. And I was like, the scheduling thing doesn't work. Why even bother? But then when I learned like, oh, the average amount of things I get done in the day is around 3, I'm going to plan for that. And the rest of it's going to be interruptions, helping out students, meeting unexpectedly with teachers, answering my email, commute time, giving myself 30 minutes to have lunch and just take a breath. When I learned that, the reality of the job and not to fight with the reality of the job, life became so much easier. So give yourself time and space, plan time on your calendar for interruptions because they are the reality of the job, and count on having wipeout days. Be willing to put those into your calendar and to adjust and reschedule as necessary. Okay. So let's review. The problem that you're facing is that you're either under planning, you're not taking the time to plan, which creates overwhelm, and then you respond to the overwhelm by overworking, overexerting, overscheduling. So the solution to this problem is the 3-month plan. This is how you make your vision doable. You list, prioritize, map out details, decide and delegate, calendar and honor. 5 steps. The results and the benefits of these results are that you become a more valuable and more impactful principal. You stay 3 months ahead. You're always ahead of your teachers, your students, your community, and sometimes your district. They're going like month to month, day to day. Sometimes you're going to be ahead. And yes, their emergencies might come in and mess with your plan. If you know that your district functions on a last minute basis or they're constantly changing, give yourself grace and space for that, plan for that, okay? You're going to know what to expect before it happens. Less surprises and less emergencies equal more calmer days ahead, okay? When you've created a plan ahead of time, it saves time, energy, and money. It saves brain power. It saves effort and focus, okay? So it's about setting the intention. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect to work. It works for the human beings. All of us imperfect humans out here doing the best job we can on this planet. It's about setting the intention of planning. We're going to mess it up some days, not a problem. But the intention is the key, okay? When you've anticipated obstacles and you've devised potential solutions ahead of time, you have less worry because you've thought about things. My coach calls it constructive pessimism, or I think that's what she calls it, constructive pessimism. I just call it pitfall planning. What are the pitfalls that I anticipate are going to happen? Can I solve for them ahead of time? It's going to calm my nervous system and take less time away from, it's going to give me more time. It's going to take time away from solving problems as emergencies and creating more time and space to be intentional, okay? When you've considered the minute details, which is that tedious part, it's going to save you so much time and money. Less last minute decisions, less last minute spending, less last minute hustling and organizing, okay? It's just a smoother experience for you and your school. And it creates time for you to address those unanticipated, okay? Now, what are the long-term benefits of this plan? Still selling your brain hard. This compounds your effort and impact and legacy as a school leader. When you do this every 3 months and you're 3 months ahead, you become more valuable. You compound the impact that you have. Not only that, you compound the joy and the quality of life that you experience. This is about your experience as a school leader. You want to accomplish more in less time. And you do that when you're planned and focused and leading from a calm state. When you're freaking out, you can't think clearly. You can't make decisions with clarity. You have to get back into a calm state knowing it's going to be okay. I've got this. You're going to fulfill more obligations as a leader, but do it in less time. Okay. I love to highlight the mental and physical and emotional benefits of this. Your health is in better check. You're managing your mind, your body, and your emotions. Your experience is more pleasurable and you create sustainability. That's what I want for you. I don't want you to go through this job dragging yourself, forcing yourself to be a school leader. I want you to feel sustainable, to feel satisfied, to feel rested. And the more you do that, here's my favorite part, the more valuable that you become, the bigger benefit you are to your district as an employee, the more you're in demand. The more you're in demand, the more money you make. The more you can demand to be paid and to be recognized in however payment form that is, whether it's money or otherwise, to be recognized as a valuable member of your district. And when you are more valuable for them, you create more value as an employee. They pay you more. They respect you more. They honor and they appreciate you more. That's the beauty of this program. Okay. So before I take any questions, I want to highlight one more pitfall with the school vision. Okay. So last week we talked about creating it and selling it. And today we talked about creating a plan to implement it. The hardest part, the biggest pitfall of all, is following through with implementation. It's one thing to develop a plan. We can all sit down and create a plan and map it out, but it's another thing to show up as the version of yourself that commits to that plan and sees it all the way through, even when you get off track, even when you have disappointments and failures. And that's what the Empowered Principal Coaching Program does. It's what it offers. It offers you to stay on track so you can allow for hiccups without making it mean that you're not doing it right, or you're not good enough, or the plan's not working, or that something's gone terribly wrong and you need to quit, right? No, coaching is what makes your vision a success. So you create the vision, you sell the vision, you create the plan, you put it into bite-sized doable chunks. And then through coaching, we solve problems that come up in real time. And coaching is what helps you remain clear on your primary focus. We're going to make adjustments to your schedule without changing your goal. A lot of times we're like, well, the goal's out the window because the schedule got off track. Nope. We keep the goal, but we adjust the schedule. Okay. Because the reason we achieve a goal or don't achieve a goal is because of our emotions. We need to focus on the energy behind the actions we're taking. Two principals can get the exact same to-do list, check off every action item, and get two different results. How is that possible? Because of the energy behind those actions. And energy comes from the way we're thinking. Our thoughts about ourselves and our self-concept as a leader, our thoughts about the process we're using and the approach that we're taking, our thoughts about other people, right? It's the belief triad. So you can go through the motions of this plan. You can do everything on your to-do list and not have it achieve the results you want. And hey, look, I've done that myself. I create plans. Some of them I achieve, some of them I don't. The plan's not the problem and I'm not the problem. The problem is that I just have to figure out what energy do I need to be in order to generate those results, okay? Coaching is what helps you do that. It identifies the thoughts and the emotions that stimulate the energy, the right energy, the sweet spot for you to take the right amount of action in the right amount of way that is intentional and productive. You want to approach school leadership with intentionality versus reactivity, right? So for those of you who came to learn more, I'm going to talk very quickly about the Empowered Principal Program. I'm so excited, you guys, because I have two offers now. Originally, when I started my business, I only offered one-on-one coaching. And that was so that I could learn more about the client. I could be in very direct contact, very high touch, high levels of support. So I could learn, make sure that my tools work in every scenario for private and public, for elementary and high school and middle school, for choice programs and more traditional programs. I've been working with all different kinds of leaders from all different kinds of schools, public and independent, private. And I want to tell you that after these last few years, these are tried and true. It works for everybody. I've been able to create 100% results through my one-on-one coaching program. So I do offer next year a very, very limited number of one-on-one spots for people who want to experience a one-on-one coaching experience. So for those of you who are brand new or you've never had coaching before, I highly recommend choosing to have a one-on-one experience if I have space available. Okay. I'm only going to coach 8 people this year, one-on-one. Now, I recommend that program, but what I'm offering now is an entirely new experience, which is the Empowered Principal Collaborative. It is my exclusive school year long group coaching program. It's weekly group coaching to address your problems in real time. And I want to share a little bit with you, the experience that you're going to have in the Empowered Principal Collaborative, because there is a difference between one-on-one and group. And I'm going to share that with you really quickly. Group coaching is a more collaborative coaching experience. So one-on-one is amazing. It's very exclusive. It's very VIP. It's very high touch. It's just you and I on the phone. It's a wonderful way. I love one-on-one coaching. But group coaching is so fabulous because not only do you receive personalized coaching on the call, you're going to pop up and get coaching, but you're going to observe other people getting coached. So it's easier to glean the information and the coaching when you're not on the hot seat, right? You're going to watch other people get coached, and you're going to learn so much when you're watching other people get coached and to watch their brains in real time being coached. They're going to answer and ask the same questions that you have because you guys are on the same page. You're going through the same experience. But what's even better yet, this has been my experience in group coaching. There are things that people will ask that weren't even on my radar. I had no idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought of that. Brilliant. It brings it up to my level of awareness. And now I can apply that coaching that I didn't even think about. And I can take that with me and apply it to what's going on for me personally. Okay. That is the strength of group coaching. There's no problem that a school leader has that no other school leader has out there. If you have a problem, I guarantee you hundreds, if not thousands of other people are struggling with it too. That's what we're working with. We're dealing with the same problems around the same time frame of the school year, and we want to talk about them together with like-minded colleagues who are focusing on solutions. I'm a very solutions-based program. We're not complaining, whining, sulking, blaming, venting, commiserating. We're solutions-based. I want you to be invited to be in the room with the top school leaders in this industry. This room, I curate it very specifically to include people who are not coming just to receive and to take and to consume information, but to contribute. This is going to be a mastermind experience with the best of the best principals on deck, okay? Another value of the coaching program is that there is no more suffering in silence or working in isolation. I tell you what, if there's any sadness that a principal feels, is that they're working alone, they're suffering in silence, they feel like they're the only ones out there having this experience. No more of that. We're going to unveil that. You're going to be a part of a community with like-minded leaders who truly understand you. They know what it's like to be in your shoes. They know how hard it is. They know the crazy things you deal with. There are things that school leaders go through that no one else could understand unless you're in the position. That's what we're talking about. People who can relate to your experience. And in this group, we are not going to judge, assume, or criticize. There's going to be no tolerance for harm of any kind. Mental, emotional, psychological, social. We're not doing that. This is a collaborative group that you know what? You get enough hate on the job. You get enough people complaining and blaming and hating on you and attacking you and criticizing you, judging you. You get enough of that. That's not what this is about. This is here to serve you from a place of love, appreciation, and compassion. This is going to be a safe and confidential place where you can honestly and openly tell the truth of how it feels to be a school leader. You know what I'm saying? You know how we have to kind of hide and pretend? We have to put on a face because we're a public figure. You have to be able to go somewhere and tell the truth. And I get it. I used to go home and tell my husband or talk to my friends. It's not the same as somebody who's in it, who gets it. And you know what? Your spouse, your partner, your husband, your friend, they don't want to hear about it every single day. You've got to have a place where you can go where we've got geek out about it. Okay. This is a safe and confidential space. I'm very protective of that. I hold everybody highly accountable. We need to coach in a safe space that allows you to be open, honest, and transparent so we can get to the core of the matter. And the truth is that as school leaders, we deal with content that is sensitive in nature. You're going to be talking about students. You're going to be talking about staff members and teachers. You're going to be talking about parents and families. You're going to be talking about community situations. You're going to be talking about your bosses and the district. We need to be able to do that in a way that keeps it like confidential and safe and so you can be safe and transparent, but it's also obscure enough where you can share the truth without feeling that you're violating anything or that you are calling anybody out specifically. This is about getting coached on your thoughts and your feelings so you know the approach that you want to take and that feels aligned for you. And of course, you're going to be coached by the best certified life and leadership coach on the planet, which is me. I literally feel like I am the pioneer of life and leadership coaching for school leaders. There's nobody else out there doing what I'm doing and what I'm offering. I have been in the business since 2017. You guys have been listening to the podcast. I started it in January of 2018, going strong 6-7 years later here. And I want you to see this as your place. This is your home. This is where you come to get the support you need, the love you need, the celebrations you need. I want you to see this as a mentorship for life as long as you're in this career. There are always going to be situations, whether you're a first year or a 20-year veteran, that come up in school leadership that you're not sure how to handle. Trust me, it happened every year. The Empowered Principal Collaborative Group is the place where you can come to celebrate your wins, to get the support you need, and to just be loved on, to be appreciated. I want you to think of it as like Cheers. Remember that old show? I'm dating myself, but where you can go where everybody knows your name and everybody understands you and loves you. These are your BFFs in the educational field, okay? So you're going to gain community. You're going to gain collaboration, connection. You're going to make new friends, and you're going to be included. What I love about this group coaching program is that you're going to make connections with like-minded leaders, create new friendships, and that is going to increase just the joy that you feel in this experience, okay? You're going to learn how to handle new situations, how to stay prioritized. Everything we do here, I'm going to teach you step by step. You can't get off track because you're going to be a part of this program from the beginning of August till the end of May. We're going to get your vision up and running, okay? Increased accomplishment, faster results in less time, a more immersive experience. I love group coaching because you're going to be able to not just get coached by me, but by your peers. I'm going to bring in some guest coaches who are certified life and leadership coaches as well, people who have been under my wing for several years. I have clients who I am teaching how to coach. They're going to come in and coach you as well. So you don't just get my brain on it, you get everybody's brain on it. Okay. So how do you get started? I've been going. Any questions? Okay. Here's how you get started. For this school year only. So if you're watching this live, it's the 23-24 school year. For 1 year only, I'm going to offer the Empowered Principal Collaborative Group Coaching Program for an introductory price. I'm not offering it for this price ever again. It's this year only. The price is $997. So $1,000 gets you in for an entire year. My one-on-one coaching program is $9,000. This is going to be $997 for 1 year only. Okay. The reason I'm doing this is I want to incentivize people. I want to make it extremely financially available and accessible to every school leader. Every school leader has access to $997. Okay. We're going to start August 2nd and we're going to go through May 29th. The program is going to be on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. So you can already populate your calendar. Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's 4 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Okay. So 4 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's the time where it's the sweet spot where I can catch people on the Pacific Coast who are just finishing up school. And by 7 o'clock, it's still early enough that you're done with school and you've got an hour to focus every single week to join the program. Okay. Now, here's what I want to offer to you. I'm going to be sending an email out with information about this program. I'm going to send the link to this replay. And I'm going to send 2 links where you are going to be able to sign up for this introductory price of $997. This is the only year I'm offering it at this price. And here's the thing. For those of you who sign up this year, you are going to be grandfathered in at the $997 price forever. So this is an annual program. You sign up every school year, you recommit to the coaching program and the coaching experience, you will be grandfathered in at $997. So you sign up year after year after year, you're only paying the $997 for as long as you're in the program. If you leave and come back, you're paying the current value, the current price of the program. So this year only, $997 for the entire year of the program, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So if you sign up now, that is your bonus. That's what you get, okay? How do you sign up? I'm going to be sending a copy of this replay, a link that's going to let you watch this replay. And in that email, I'm going to send 2 additional links. One link is going to allow you to sign up directly. You just, if you're ready and you're a yes, and you want in and you want to secure your spot, because yes, there is a cap. That's in the FAQs. There is a cap. And first come, first serve. So if you sign up and you want to do directly, you know you're in, you just go to that tab, click on that. You're going to input your information, pay the $997, and you're done. You're in. This is going to secure that spot. For other people who are curious about the program but want to ask some questions, if you have some questions you want me to answer, you want to talk to me directly, or there's information that you need, you simply are going to, on the second link, it's going to be a 15-minute call that you can just schedule with me. Bring your questions. I'll answer anything that you have. Click on that link, schedule the call, and if you need more information, okay? And then from there, you go back to the other link and sign up, all right? So another FAQ is, what do you do if you actually want one-on-one? If you're brand new and you want one-on-one, here's what I'll say. If you want to do one-on-one, I only have 8 spots, and I already know that 3 to 4 are taken. So if you decide that one-on-one is the best option for you, you're going to reply directly to that email. Press reply and say, Angela, I would like to sign up for one-on-one coaching. I'm interested in learning more about one-on-one coaching. I will reach out to you and we will schedule a consult call to talk about next steps. Okay. So if you want one-on-one, I will offer a very limited number, but for those of you, the majority of you, you can go into the collaborative and mingle with your people, be collaborative, have that inclusive experience, build your community, and be grandfathered in for the price of $997 for the full year. Okay. Now, if you do want one-on-one coaching, I'm going to give you the group program for free. Isn't that great? If you want one-on-one coaching, but you're interested and you're curious about the group, I'll give you access so you can have one-on-one and you can come to the group call. Okay. How fun is that? I think it's amazing. We're going to try it and see if it works. Okay. So I think I've covered everything, but I may not have. So raise your hands if you have questions. I'm happy to answer them. If you don't want to ask your questions publicly on the webinar, not a problem. You can type them in the Q&A anonymously, or you can just email me at angelakellycoaching@gmail.com. I will answer your questions privately, confidentially, or you can schedule that chat with me and I will get you the information you need. So this is one of the most powerful tools It's much easier to implement than I think I made it sound. It's very simple. It's very easy. It's very doable. The process is very smooth. I promise you, all of my clients who implement this program, they are so thrilled. The 3-month plan, I mean, they are so thrilled with the results. They are thrilled with the results, and they never go back. They never stop planning because they see the value and it works. They just get to go home. They're not working late. They're not getting up early. They're not stewing. They're not worrying. They're sleeping better. They know what's going on. It's a win-win-win. Okay. So with that, I want to say, have a great week. Have a great rest of your school year. For those of you who are finishing up, congratulations. For those of you who are watching this replay, whatever time of year it is, I wish you well. Join the Empowered Principal Collaborative. We are here to support you and love on you. Talk to you guys all soon. Take good care. Bye.